Let's get your headphones on like a professional.
God.
Such an amateur without headphones? Come on.
Such an amateur.
Yeah, I can't believe you.
Welcome to the Zeitgeist Podcast. My name is Nick.
My name is Greg.
We are jumping in today.
Oh, really? No,
yeah.
No jokes, no cold
No
open?
cold open because we have a lot.
No questions about what the heck is on my arm? I mean,
Nope.
okay. I'll put it away.
No.
Go ahead.
No, you gave all of your DNA to the government. Well, we already all did that with our phones.
No. I specifically did not give my DNA to the government. See, what I did is I set up an elaborate scheme so that the DNA that I gave them was actually from a raccoon.
Oh.
And they have that on file, and if I ever commit a crime, they'll never trace it to me, but they will arrest some poor raccoon out there.
Oh, poor little King Trash Mouth.
Yeah, little King Trash Mouth. He's going down. He's a street raccoon, though.
Like and comment if you get that reference.
I actually don't get the reference.
It's from Bob's Burgers.
Oh. Nope, I still don't. I mean, I've seen Bob's Burgers. I just don't think I've seen that episode.
Y'all can go watch the episode. It's a great show.
Yeah,
y'all love it.
It's fine. But
So,
yeah, let's jump in.
We're jumping in because today is the long-awaited part 2 of Alien Origins. And
Yeah, boy.
And we're covering the next species of aliens.
Wait, is it? If we count the prologue, it's part 3.
Well, because technically it's like prologue, part 1, part 2.
You're right.
When you label something a prologue, it comes before part 1. So it's like part 0, part 1, part 2.
I see. I've learned what the word prologue means now.
Yes. So
I didn't know that before we walked in here today, so thank you. I'm already much better educated than when I sat down.
you're welcome.
Yep.
That'll be $10. I turn this around. It just has the tip screen on it. It's like,
That would be such a good bit, actually. If at any point you just say something and I'm like, wow, I just learned something, and you just help me, can you please have a couple questions for you here?
It's like,
You intentionally look away, just a couple questions right here.
That's the new handout for the tip. It's like turn the phone screen. And
it's
the
exactly
percentage.
right. That's exactly right.
It's so good. But so as I was digging into this next phase of Alien Origins, I was trying to develop a story about where humans came from, about where the life cycle came from. So I was like, I don't know if you already read this when I turned it around, but
No, I can't read that fast.
okay, good, you can't read.
I can't read.
It's okay, I can't
Never
either.
learned. That's what the government gave me with the education system.
Hey, what's up? I'm Jared. I'm 19. I never learned how to fucking read.
Yeah.
Best Vine.
That was Vine, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I knew
Vine.
that. I knew that was not TikTok. That was OG.
Same thing. But so I was trying to come up with a cohesive story to kind of connect one alien species to the next. And I was like, well, that might be, I'll just cover each species and kind of the overarching lore of that species.
Cool.
Luckily, this one flows directly from the Anunnaki. Daddy Anunnaki goes right into this next one because we're talking about the reptilians today.
Oh, sweet. I thought it was humans, but okay, reptilians. Let's go.
Maybe we're not even humans
Oh.
in the long run.
Well, let's get into it then.
So, first things first. Who are the reptilians? Well, from the basic definition, they are the lizard people that live in the earth, and they control basically everything on Earth. Okay, so I kind of put this as, my notes are all over the place, but we're going to kind of start what exactly the reptilians, what is their influence right now? So right now, we also need to establish this theory did begin in the 1940s.
Really?
Yeah, it was coined by...
that's so much longer ago than I thought.
Because it does not have very good origins. Given the time frame, the 1940s, very anti-Semitic stuff. This is also where the term the Jews run the media kind of thing. I don't believe that at all, but that's kind of where the same turn of phrase was coined around that time. Mm-hmm. As in, there was World War II. A lot of anti-Semitic things were happening around that time.
Yep.
And it sucks. So,
yep. I do have regrets. We did one episode on the Rothschild family.
I regret that too.
I don't think we should have done that episode.
I don't think so
At the
either.
time, I did not even realize that there was this subculture of anti-Semitism.
I saw, for context, because I know that was my episode.
Yeah, I'm just throwing you under the bus right now.
Yeah, please.
Actually.
Honestly, I keep thinking about that episode, and I keep seeing that family brought up in that, what's the word? In that zeitgeist.
Yeah, that is
in the
word.
cultural zeitgeist.
That is the word, isn't
it?
Hey.
But not related to us because Yeah, there was a lot of anti-Semitic theories in that, and I don't support that. So if anything, I might go, but just take that episode down because
it got like no traction.
I
anyway.
mean, still, I don't want that. I was very unreasonable. I watched one YouTube video, and it didn't really give like a point of like anything political. It was just like, oh, what about this is crazy.
Yeah,
like,
and I think
like, I never
we
heard of this
spent a lot of
before.
our time talking about like central banking more than anything.
Yeah,
and it wasn't directly like.
I think we
know.
called out Chase Bank most of the time.
I think we mostly were hating on Chase, which
And
we
JP
were right
Morgan.
to do.
And JP Morgan, I know you avoided the Titanic for a reason.
Yep.
We all know it.
No, we were right to hate on JP Morgan Chase, but
They suck.
yeah, I want to. I mean, if there's ever a public apology for like adding to the milieu,
Right.
this is it. We didn't realize what we were saying at the time. We didn't realize the Rothschilds were tied to that undercurrent of racism and hatred, and now we know.
So that's kind of where like the reptilian term came from. Is like, oh, there's these. It's like kind of relates to like they're these slimy people that are secretly controlling everything. That's kind of where it comes from, and it sucks. But that was then. They've taken on a very whole new lore now, and it's deep. And there are so many different versions of the reptilian lore that I tried to narrow it down to this one because it fits perfectly with the Anunnaki.
Great.
So, and it also goes along with a lot of other theories we've talked about too. This is going to be out of
a mega episode.
After every alien race, the Anunnaki are like the ones that have the most, I think, like cultural reference because there's a lot of like, what are these weird beings in these ancient texts and these ancient hieroglyphics? Like that's kind of where they're from, and they're like the god alien. And then the reptilians are the next most like talked about species because they're the most active and like currently today.
Right.
Basically, the reptilians control everything about the human society. They are the Illuminati. The reptilians are the Illuminati.
The reptilians are the Illuminati.
Yeah, they control the media. They control
that
societal.
man is not real, or whatever she said.
I guess.
Yeah.
There is a whole forum about the lady. This is that man back there is not real. Her mind she was able to see past the veil because there are plenty of humans that you think are human but are actually reptilians in disguise, and that is the majority of the human race.
Is that what happens when your fourth eye is opened?
Yeah, you got your third eye and your fourth eye. That's
a
down under eye.
Yeah, I have to do another episode. We do that a lot.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
they're about to yet another episode. Is the way to open the fourth eye the same thing that they did on Fear Factor, where they butt chugged ayahuasca?
Oh my
is
God.
that the answer?
No, it's a goatseed.exe.
It's like
goatseed.
goat seed?
Goatseed. You don't know what goatseed is?
No, what the heck's goat seed?
Oh, you poor sweet. You remember Two Girls One?
You've shared so many
Think
things that
about-
I never would have known.
This one is
otherwise.
actually like an old internet like legend.
Really.
Yeah, it's this old internet. So you know Two Girls One Cup?
I do.
Think that it's just a dude spreading his butthole. It's just a picture of a dude spreading his butthole.
Oh,
That like wide.
I see.
Don't look it up because you can still find it.
I have no interest in looking it up.
Yeah, that's all.
All right. Yeah.
Easier
sorry,
for
go
the
ahead.
probes.
Easier for the probes.
So, reptilians, how do they relate to the Anunnaki? Well, the Anunnaki, quick summary, they came to Earth, they started the human race, they combined their DNA to basically make a slave race to mine all the gold, as much gold from Earth to fix their planet, and they're like, peace, because Nibiru was coming by, caused the Great Flood, wiped out all of human race except for Noah, blah, 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 because the Younger Dryas, all that stuff. So...
Well, yeah, well, I'm sure that's going to be talked about more as we do this.
A little bit.
Okay.
Basically, this takes place after that. The Anunnaki are gone. They left. They dropped us here. They wiped us out.
Peaced out.
And they left. And so, now that there's this race here, and the Anunnaki they're like, oh, we don't care about them. But they're not the only alien race out there, because remember, the Anunnaki had another slave race called the Ajiji.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And
That's
they
right.
enslaved them. So there are many other races. And there's also a thing called the Galactic Federation, but we'll have to get into that in another episode.
Ah, okay.
So that is another deep
Teaser for that one.
The Galactic Federation is interesting.
I
Very
saw that
interesting.
on Lilo and Stitch, actually. That documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great documentary.
What a great documentary, Lilo and Stitch. They had a Galactic Federation there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name? Jumba? Pleakley?
Yeah. Yeah.
top scientists.
And that right. And then the Star Trek Wars, I think
Star Trek Wars.
The Star Trek Wars had a similar
Trek Star.
Yeah, they had
Star Trek
a similar federation of sorts, an organization. If
And
you
they
will.
had what is it? Darth Picard.
I think so.
Darth Picard.
They
and
use this dark magic called the Forts.
the forts. The
Yeah.
fort. Like, is that like fort?
The farts, actually. It was
How
the
many
farts. I'm
fan
sorry.
bases are we gonna piss off
I
at
don't know.
once?
I don't know. People, I do this because like we've made a character now of like the real me, which is that I'm out of touch with a lot of like
You
pop
don't even
culture.
know what Star Trek or
Yeah,
Star
I know. So like I'm exaggerating my own character here, for the record. I mean, actually, you know what? I'm not. Screw your fan base. Leave a comment. Tell me how much you
Honestly,
hate it.
I can't.
Engage with us, please.
I agree because my one hot take: I can't stand Star Wars simply because of the fan base.
Yeah.
I just can't, because if I do anything related to Star Wars, it's like it's the nerd version of a Swiftie is a Star
That's-
Wars fan.
That's exactly how I feel about Marvel. Leave a comment.
No, the world agrees with you on Marvel.
Do they? Darn, I thought that was a hot take.
No, everyone's tired of Marvel.
I'm sick of that
Marvel is everyone's sick of it. Why do you think all their movies are flopping?
crap. Yeah.
They all suck, and they're all like, "Oh, we can still No, it's over.
It's over. It's been 20 years or
Endgame
whatever,
literally
dude.
was the last good movie, and then it was it was like, well, what? It's over. We're done with it.
I saw the 3 Iron Mans. I saw 2 of the Thor movies. And then I was like, let's watch 3 of the Captain America movies. And then Civil War comes around. I'm like, who the heck are these people? And then I didn't know what was going on. And then I did watch Black Panther, and I was still like, who the heck are these people?
I'd
But that was
say
good.
Watch Infinity War and Endgame. They're very good movies.
But I still don't understand who these people are.
Well,
There's so many random characters that just
that's-
showed up between Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War.
yep.
And I'm like, bro,
this is not a Marvel roasting podcast. We're talking
but
about
it
aliens.
should be.
Okay, next
Just-
episode
yeah,
we can
all right, go
roast
ahead.
Marvel.
Let's talk aliens. This might be a long one, guys. I don't know. You guys can all see how long it is. This may be over an hour. We'll see.
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
So first things first. When did the reptilians come here? They have been the longest humanoid species commingling with humans for the longest time. The Anunnaki were not here as long as the reptilians have, and still are very much in control of everything. Because you may be asking, why did the reptilians come? Why did they come here? Why Earth?
I mean, was it also for gold or
Their own type of gold?
water?
No, it is not so. This one is going to get a lot more spiritual.
Okay.
Because reptilians they are not actually like reptiles. It's just they resemble reptiles. But most alien species and the majority of alien species are not similar to humans. What makes us so unique is that we have Anunnaki DNA in us. And the Galactic Federation and every other alien species know the Anunnaki, you don't fuck with them. They are the god aliens. If you don't touch them, they're in control. Whatever they say goes. They have the power. They are the almighty people. So what makes us special? Well, we're the only descendants from them.
So we're the gold.
Yes, humans are the gold. And you know
Humans
why?
are the gold.
Because every other animal on Earth or alien species rely on pure instinct.
Right.
They have intelligence, but no other alien species except the Anunnaki and us have emotions.
Interesting.
We can act on feelings alone. Maybe animals hunt they hunt to survive, or they kill in order to gain sustenance and live another day, or protect their families, or just pure instinct. Like animals are like birds. Some birds are born with their eyes open so they can see, or some animals just come right out the cow, and they're just like trotting around, like they just know.
And if they don't, their mom kicks them over until they get it right.
Yeah, or like when baby birds just jump out the nest they just know how to do it. They're not taught.
I mean, like a baby bird would just die.
No, well,
But at a certain point.
At a certain point when it's ready to fly, it will just do it.
And it just knows. Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of animals just know how to swim. Like dogs know how to swim. You throw a baby puppy in the water, it will swim.
True.
Don't do that.
Don't throw puppies in the river.
I will find you and I will murder you.
Paul, not again. Don't throw puppies in the river.
I
let it slide twice.
I already took
Fool
one
me
of your
twice.
hands.
Fool me twice. Shame on you again. Fool me 3 times, you go to jail.
That's my one favorite George Bush quote. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, Fool me, can't get fooled again. Kanye sampled that in one of his songs.
Did he?
Really,
That's
it's
hilarious.
So good. Fool me one time, shame on you.
Yeah.
It's the only good Kanye song.
I don't know, man.
There's a lot of other
There's some
ones,
good
though.
Kanye
There's some
songs.
good Kanye songs.
I mean, Kanye wasn't always like this.
Yeah, but
Well, he was always like this. But
He
we
was
didn't always know exactly. I mean, he had some bangers.
he
We
did
gotta
have
be
some
real.
bangers. So the reptilians, they fall. Basically, they kind of like are the. They're kind of like the bad guys of the alien species. No other alien species really likes them, but they have a lot of technology and a lot of power because they have a lot of influence. Because they control basically all of the things. They control a lot of planets. And what those planets are designated by the Federation, prison planets. What do you think Earth is?
I didn't think it was like, the Australia of the solar system. I didn't think it was a prison planet.
We're the Australia of the solar system.
We're the Australia. Dang.
Yeah. We are a prison planet. Because these reptilians and a few other alien species do this, but basically emotions carry energy for these species. They feed off of emotions. And
They're energy vampires.
yes, because emotions and feelings and the way the Anunnaki expressed emotions was power. Those powers, they could harness the power of their emotions and turn it literally into energy. Like they could power. That's why they were able to basically fix their world with just some gold dust and shoot it into the air. Like they have so much power because they unlocked that spiritual, like, what's it called? The Akashic record. They access the Akashic records, which are it's basically like, it's not a parallel or another dimension, or it can be viewed that way. It's like a spiritual plane of energy that anyone can tap into at any point and understand anything and just have infinite energy, basically.
So when you say energy, you mean like literal energy, like used for electricity, used for
anything that
heat,
uses
used
energy.
for-
Yes, anything.
Okay, if that is the case,
Like
why
emotions
the
are a type
heck?
of energy.
Why am I paying an electric bill every month if one dude out there could figure this out and just be like, free energy, boom, Is that
Well,
is that what Nikola Tesla did? Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
He
Figured this out a long time. This has been. Why do you think we? Okay, this is what I'm trying to get into. We're gonna get there.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Sorry, I always jump a little.
no, you're
too far
good
ahead.
because we
It's
think alike.
It's because I'm angry though.
I'm angry too. I was angry rereading this. So the cool thing is, these reptilians specifically on Earth actually have a name, and it's really cool. They're called the Archon.
Ooh,
Kind of
Archon.
a sick name though.
That's kind of sick.
That's the
I'm
one.
gonna make a
spin-off.
band, call it Archon.
I'm
I'm gonna make a convention, call it Archon.
Archon.
I'm gonna make an air conditioning company, call it Aircon. Oh, that exists actually.
That's actually just a company.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm gonna make one called Sock On.
Sock on?
Sock on these nuts. Gotti.
No, okay, I can't leave.
I heard Con. I was like, oh, I can do it.
You did. You
My
got
brain
me.
was like, you cannot move on until you make this joke. I was like, I gotta do it.
Yep, you did it. You had to.
I
don't
said it.
fault
I was
you
like,
for it.
please repeat it. Please repeat it.
I don't fault you for it. Dang,
Okay, I feel good now.
I got played.
So there's a lot more to this. So the reptilians, as we know, for those who don't, they're the Illuminati. They control basically everything. But the thing is I'm gonna do a little analogy for you. So say, for example, this podcast episode on YouTube gets 100 amazing comments, just like, y'all are so great, this is so funny, or this is so interesting, or they give like insights and other all good comments. And then there's one negative comment that just talks shit on us. Which one's gonna stick with you?
It depends. Depends on what was said in the negative comment. Because sometimes they're funny, and I still love them.
Right.
Sometimes it's like, like that guy's hairline looks like it went further back from the last episode.
Right.
Like that one hurts.
Like,
don't say that.
But like the thing is, like, even if it doesn't like affect you like emotionally or like makes you like upset,
Yeah.
it's still like
If for whatever reason you think of that one more.
You think of that one more, or you can recall it easier.
Yeah.
What if so they all know that negative emotions are the most potent, the most appetizing type of emotion.
Delicious.
Actually, it has been documented by some of these reptilians by higher levels of the government, because of course they work with the government,
Naturally.
that negative emotions are like a drug to the reptilians. They need it. They crave it. They're addicted to it. So, since they have an understanding of the spiritual plane and are basically the harbingers of our entire life, they control everything about our life, even our souls. Because our souls exist on a different frequency that is unable to be seen by us, but the reptilians can see it. Because they have the biology to see.
They got that predator vision, like
Basically, like for souls, like they have like mood ring vision. Like, oh, he's red. He's either angry or horny. Like,
maybe both.
maybe both. Angry,
Most
horny.
of the time, both.
Nah,
Actually,
it's just delicious. Yum, 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 yum. Horny, angry, horny. I have a boner and I'm mad about it.
so what I'm learning so far, I'm gonna let you finish your analogy too, but these negative emotions are like a drug to them.
Yeah.
So people like me are like a trap house for reptilians.
Same here.
They're like, I'm gonna hang out with this guy all the time.
my body
and I'm
is-
like, come on in, man.
My
You know?
cortisol levels are just tippity
Welcome
top.
to my house. Like that's me.
I am super stressed out
Yeah,
every
hey, good
day of my life.
Yeah, that's me. I'm drugging. I'm basically everybody's dealer. I'm just not making any money out of it.
I know. If I could drug deal the stress in my life, I
Bro.
literally would have enough to power the country.
Sitting on mad supply here, and the problem is I can't stop taking it myself.
You need some stress. Take some of mine.
I got you.
This conversation's stressing me out. I don't want to do this.
You want to find out? You want to find out if they're a narc? You just give them like, a dose that's a little bit more stress than most people can handle, but you've got it in spades, right? And if they just explode, you're like, friggin' narc, can't handle it.
Can't handle the stress.
Yeah,
I bet your parents loved you.
yeah. Is that
I
right?
bet you had a good childhood.
I bet sometimes people will walk up to you.
I bet you have a trust fund.
I bet sometimes people will walk up to you and you won't instantly think that they might be trying to hurt you, rob you, or insult you.
Yeah, I bet you're two white guys doing a podcast.
I bet you are. I bet you got a lot of privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a lot of that white privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you take some stress?
Yeah, here you go.
Here you go.
Just pass it off.
Wait.
Just the person's free.
God, it'd be so great if I could get high off of my stress. I'd be stressed all the time.
But you're stressed all the time anyway.
I'm stressed right now. I'm high right now.
Oh, man. Is it hot in here? Jeez. Sweating.
Oh man. Oh, buddy. So we know that they love emotions, but how do they like get those? How do they eat emotions? How does it work? So they understand the soul. They can see the soul. They know it. They know how it exists and what frequency it exists on. And the thing is, this frequency that souls exist on, and that the same frequency that the reptilians exist on, because they can exist in plain sight, we just can't see them. They emit a frequency that we cannot perceive.
Okay.
What if I told you we had discovered that frequency, and there is an embargo in the government, and an agreement between the reptilians and the governments of the world, mostly America. Who'd have thunk?
all the UFOs are in America for some reason. All the aliens come to America.
Well, one day I'll cover ancient Indian UFOs, which are actually
okay.
called Varut.
Varut.
Varuts. They think of the Tower of Babel like a layered cake, but flying in the sky.
Ah,
That's what. There's ancient texts. I'll get into that another time. It's
Yeah.
interesting because there's UFO stories
No.
all over the world.
But let's get back to this agreement between
Yeah.
the governments and the reptilians.
that
this
one's
is
vague.
written up somewhere.
It's vague. So
Okay.
I'm gathering it from a lot of different sources, and a lot of
Gotcha.
this is very questionable. So this is just.
Well, this is more the
It's
alien
more for
thing
entertainment,
is
really,
for fun. Yeah.
But a lot of this was written by like ex-government agents or ex-CIA employees who have written books about it. But I mean, when they're capitalizing off stuff like that, and a lot of them didn't get killed, so I'd assume it's not. There's not a lot of validation because if somebody talks and then they mysteriously die, that puts a little more validation to things.
Boeing.
Boeing's shame.
Yeah.
Come on.
I just need to say the word and everyone knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. But so so we were talking about there's so many points to this. So they had this agreement so that we discovered this frequency, but there's an embargo that those frequencies are like inaccessible. Like if you try to anything in those frequencies, you're just going to be met with like, because frequencies isn't like radio frequencies. It's like vibrational frequencies from things like. It's hard. It's like everything has a wave to it.
Aren't those technically the same though? Like a radio frequency is basically things that are traveling along a real frequency that exists in the electromagnetic field.
You're right.
So I'm wondering, is it the elusive brown note?
Which exists.
They say
Mythbusters did it,
but they didn't poop.
He almost did.
But how does he know if he was going to poop? He didn't actually poop.
True.
You know?
I'll have to test it for myself.
I wonder if the brown note that we've been seeking is actually a defense mechanism by the reptilians, because that is their frequency, but they don't want people to find it. And if you find it and try to replicate it, you poop.
Yeah.
And then they'll smell your poop, and they'll see it with their special reptilian vision, and they'll be like, gotta kill that guy.
He pooped.
Because he tried to.
That's why
he tried to send our frequency back to us, and so we punish him.
But why do you think when people die, they void their bowels?
Maybe that's it.
Well, imagine. So the next section. So they have this embargo. You can't see stuff. So this is all the reptilians. There's a lot of different ways to. Some people say they live in Hollow Earth. That's ridiculous.
No, the Agarthians are in Hollow Earth.
Exactly.
Come on.
The reptilians exist in plain sight. And they're like, oh, well, they exist like in this way or that way. No. They exist, one, here in plain sight, just doing their thing, have their secret base in like the Denver airport and different bases like Dulce base all across the world. But they also built the moon.
So is this Hollow Moon theory as well?
Didn't we covered Hollow Moon before, right?
We kind of touched on Hollow Moon, but I'm wondering is that tied to this?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So first things first, a lot of it is going to relate to the moon because the reptilians built the moon.
I think you said in a previous episode the moon doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it still doesn't. This made it even more confusing.
Gotcha. But like as a moon of a planet our size, it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. So we'll get to that. We'll do that. We'll discuss that now. How weird the moon's weird. The moon's weird and it's too big.
It's friggin' weird, dude.
So there's a couple things we'll touch on with the moon. One, it's too big for the Earth. Like there's no way. Like every other planet that we have observed that has moons, the moons are significantly smaller than the planet size, except for Pluto. But Pluto is technically designated as a double dwarf planet. They're the same size, so they're called the double planet. So, and there's a lot of other. They discovered recently this thing called in this year. They discovered jumbos, which are Jupiter-sized masses, like two of them together, orbiting each other.
Oh,
and they found dozens of them.
Really?
So apparently, like things that have the same mass or similar masses can just orbit each other.
That makes more sense, really, because that would be an equal system, right? A two-body system.
Yeah, not a three-body problem.
Right. Which we actually, I think, talked about briefly during another Alien episode. But like having two things of the same mass, they would basically find equilibrium, right? Because they're pulling on each other with the same force.
Yeah. So that's one weird thing about the moon is that it's technically we are a double planet system. The moon is
how big the moon is.
Yeah, because of how big the moon is. And so the other weird thing is that since the moon is so big and it is so close to us, that the center of gravity is actually inside the Earth, which a lot of moons are that way, which have an elliptical orbit. Pretty much everything that we've observed in our observable area has an elliptical, like an oval-shaped orbit around something. Because different masses have different gravity effects on each other, and they wobble each other's orbits.
Yeah, nothing's like it's not on a string, right? It's just kind of being pulled on.
Then why does the moon have a perfectly circular orbit around the Earth?
Does it really?
Perfectly circle. And it is the only moon in our solar system that we know of that has like the face is always facing Earth. It's I forget the term, but it's like a centrifugal like orbit. Like the same face is always going to face the same.
Right.
Is always going to face.
Which means that the rotation of the moon itself equals the orbit of the moon. It's always turning, and like if I were to spin something along like this and it spins while I move it, it's always facing the same direction.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a more scientific word for that.
Yeah, I know there is. I just forgot what it is. But
yeah, and I've never knew it. So that's why I did that long, complicated explanation that didn't actually help anybody understand it better because you already freaking got it. Because you guys are smart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why is this? How is that possible? Well, like normal scientists would say, well, it's because the moon is not as dense as the Earth, but their theory is that the moon came from the Earth, like back when the Earth was forming, like a big chunk, like turned into the moon. Blah blah blah. Like that's the main theory. Like the moon is a big chunk of Earth that broke off in its formation. However, then why is it so light? Because it's hollow.
I was gonna say because it's actually made of cheese.
Maybe.
It could be alien cheese.
That would be great.
They had a giant wheel of cheese, but then their planet Nibiru was coming by, and they're like, "Oh no, my cheese! I can't take it with me." And so they say, "Let's just launch it into space. Let's just like kick it up there, and it'll stay, and then you'll be able to come back." All right, let's do it. And they launched their cheese up, and that's the moon.
Exactly.
There you go.
You got
Problem
it.
solved. Yep. They were right all those years ago.
Yeah.
They were right.
Wallace and Gromit got it.
Wallace and Gromit were
The moon
100%
is
on point.
cheese.
Yeah.
Gromit. That's not his voice.
No, it's actually not too far off.
Cheese, Gromit.
Cheese.
That's not like Gromit. They're making a new one of those. I'm so excited. Yeah, full stop motion.
Good.
I missed those.
Claymation was so great. There needs to be more. I know it takes forever. I get it. But
Hey,
people need to fund claymation.
Guillermo del Toro did that stop motion Pinocchio, which was
He did.
weird.
I didn't
It's
see
good.
it. Yeah, I didn't see it. I should have.
So, the other thing about the moon, at least scientifically, a lot of people think it's hollow, and I think in my original hollow moon theory, we talked about how it rung like a bell, like it was vibrating.
Right. Yeah.
So that's one thing, is that is a thing that happens, and that there was a secret Apollo project called Project Chapel Bell that did vibration tests on the moon, still fully classified,
Interesting.
and nobody knows what it's for.
Interesting.
So that's kind of like the weird things about the moon, is that people think it's hollow, and people that it's just not. It's weird, and like it's meant to, like, it perfectly blocks out the sun during the full eclipses.
I thought about that because we had the eclipse recently.
Yeah, and it's weird.
And how crazy it is that it's exactly the right distance and size to block out the sun during, like, not even just like once every 100 years or whatever, but like semi-regularly.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because, and a lot of scientists say it is easier to prove why the moon shouldn't exist than to prove why it does. There are more points as to why the moon shouldn't be there, but it is.
So something's up with the moon.
The moon's weird.
Moon's weird.
And we don't know much more about it because we've never been there. I'm just kidding, we have.
Yeah.
Because
we're not the flat Earth crew. Although we can talk about it at some point, but we've never been.
No. I'm gonna go into the flat Earth because I went down a rabbit hole and it gets intense.
Is that a future episode or is that this one?
Nah, it's not related to aliens. It's just related to stupids.
Gotcha.
Stupid reptilians.
Gotcha. The dumb reptilians.
The dumb ones. So now that's kind of like the weird things about the moon. Now, how do why did the reptilians came here to get our negative emotions? They're like, oh, we're gonna like use these people as a food source. So now, if they built the moon, wouldn't people because the reptilians came after the flood. So society was building up. And in ancient times, there are actually documents of Plato, Aristotle, talking about their mentors and their mentors. There's texts. I can't remember the exact names. I forgot to write them down. But there are ancient texts of a time when the moon was not there in civilization. It did not exist. Until slowly, over time, there were writings of a growing, expanding white disk in the sky where the moon was brought in from somewhere else and put into orbit by the reptilians.
I would love to see those writings. I'm assuming it would be in Plato's writing, and it would be referencing
I could be wrong about
Socrates.
Plato, but it was like ancient.
But it could be further back than that. Like there were a lot of civilizations before them. Like that's the Greeks.
I think it was Aristotle's mentor. I can't remember his name. It starts with a P.
Plato.
No, not.
It goes Socrates, Plato, Aristotle.
And it was before him. It was like earlier than them. Like
so
earlier.
maybe before Socrates even.
Yes.
Which he did. I can't remember the name of who he would.
I don't know why I
reference
didn't
as
write that
his
name
mentor.
down. It was such a brief thing someone mentioned.
Yeah. Interesting. It kind of calls back to our first episode, right?
Yeah.
One of my pieces of evidence in New Zealand doesn't exist is up until like semi-recently, it wasn't on any world maps. Just wasn't friggin' there. Like you go get a map from like 1980, New Zealand's not on there, you know?
Right. So in relation to that, so they put the moon there and the reptilians like, oh, these are like emotional creatures. They exude emotion. They can see, basically they know the frequency of a soul. And so they're able, so what is the moon? The moon is a giant machine called the Soul Recycler. And it
Really?
forces humans into forced reincarnation.
Really?
Forced reincarnation. Instead of ascending, you are forced to relive the trauma, the hate, the wars, the famine, the pandemics.
Because they get their power from
That's
that.
what they get. So they, as your soul leaves this plane, they are able to intercept it via the moon. I know how stupid it
There's
sounds.
a big net, and it's like, oh, here comes another one. Get him! Get him!
You're not far off.
Well, actually, it's probably more like a dream catcher, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea. It's like a dream catcher.
Well, it's actually
But for
called.
souls.
Well, so like the whole moon is like is basically a spaceship where the most of the reptilians reside and where they observe most of the humans, and there is a machine in there, and on the surface, there is a thing, there is a structure, and it is 6 miles wide and 6 miles high, and it's called the Soul Cube, the Allspark.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the Allspark. I was gonna
On the dark side of the moon.
I was gonna say from Transformers. I just couldn't remember what it was called. So thank you for that.
Optimus Prime.
I mean, this is getting very sci-fi very quick.
It is. But there are multiple scientists have gone on record still to this day talking
There's
about
an
this.
Allspark on the moon.
What if I told you I have a picture of it?
I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
So, it's very low quality.
Let's see here. It's definitely something.
Yeah.
It's hard to see what.
I mean,
but
I'll put it up on the
something.
screen.
Yeah, it's on the screen now. You comment below. What do you guys think? Because it's something.
So
It does appear to be a cubular at least.
here's the thing. This picture was taken by a Chinese rover in 2021.
Oh, recently.
Very recently. And this is what reignited the whole soul recycling debate.
Interesting.
So that there are a lot of weird structures on the moon. There's also a weird thing about the moon as well, is that the dirt on top of the moon is older than the dirt inside it. They did like they burrowed a little ways in, and even just a few like 100 feet into the moon, it's newer than the top.
That don't make no sense.
Well, it only makes sense if maybe the reptilians found this planet, mined out the inside, put the inside on the outside to make their mechanism within the moon and make it into a starcraft.
So it could have been like a full-blown planet.
Right.
So like the Sea of Tranquility might have been an actual ocean, and they were like, can't have that. Let's drain that sucker and pull all the dirt out.
Exactly. Like, why can't... Well, or there's one thing, why if the moon came from Earth, why are the samples so
different?
Why is...
Yeah.
I mean, people are like, well, it's been not on Earth for millions, billions of years. Like, it's been floating in there. Like, you
that
still
doesn't-
find traces of the
Yeah,
same thing,
that
but they're
doesn't
not.
change the elemental structure
Exactly.
of what it is, right?
Right.
And I don't know if the elements are different or not, but
I mean, you'll
assuming
find
they are.
trace of the same elements all over the
Well, there's
place. Like
carbon, right?
Carbon,
Like, it's-
hydrogen,
yeah,
like
nitrogen, like that's just
helium's a
stuff.
big one. Like,
Yeah.
that's everywhere.
Right.
Like, the whole sun is helium. Like, that's basically... The sun's burning helium.
And we're gonna have to harvest that pretty soon because we're running out of helium.
And a
down
lot
here.
of comets actually are fueled, like they burn through helium. Like they have a lot of helium in comets. So that,
Interesting.
and asteroids. So they're trying to mine the helium out of that because it does a lot more than just make your balloons float.
Yeah, but it's mostly for balloons.
Mostly for balloons. With the balloon shortage.
99% balloons, 1% other stuff. And the other stuff is it makes your voice really high and funny.
So that's a big one. Is that basically they take your soul
That's huge.
and recycle it and force you to do it again. So what does that mean for a lot of the world religions?
I mean, if true, changes almost everything.
So
Even the religions that believe in reincarnation, that changes things. Because where does that leave? For example, if we because you talked about India, right? So like
Right.
if we look at Hinduism, where does that leave karma? Because you're just kind of getting recycled as they please, right? It's not. It doesn't matter what you did, So it doesn't really leave room for that either.
right.
And Buddhism, right? Buddhism, you can continue to reincarnate until you achieve the highest plane, but maybe not. Maybe you're just always being thrown back in the in the wash and being pulled out again.
Right. And so that I was actually going to bring up Buddhism. Buddhism, there's a lot of religions just center around like a deity or the concept of just being like a good person. Like Buddhism, so their whole philosophy, I looked this up a bit. I don't know too much about it, so correct me if I'm wrong, is all about like reincarnation or ascending like in your lifetime. Not like when you die, but during your lifetime, you should be able to ascend. And this is called the Wheel of Life. There's different stages of ascension, and it could take multiple lifetimes. However, in most of the artistic representations of the Wheel of Life, there's many stages, and it could take eons for you to reach ascension because you're forced to reincarnate.
You know what?
And relive those traumas.
I'm going to support your theory real quick. A core tenet of Buddhism, I don't know if you're ready for this, is that life is suffering. I'm not even making that up. That is a core part of that religion. And that is exactly what the reptilians would want.
Exactly. And you know, the thing is, when a Buddha ascended, one of his words was, "As I lay dying, I look to the moon and go beyond." Because the moon is the barrier.
Snap.
The moon is the blockade. And you know, and I was saying, in most of the artistic depictions, you see the Wheel of Life, and often like most of the time he's up in the corner is Buddha who's ascended. And what is he doing? He's pointing at the moon.
Is he?
He's pointing at the moon. He's like, this thing
is in
the way.
I told you.
So, and there's a few more things. So after a lot of this stuff came to light in the early 19th century, people were interested and one scientist who I wrote his name down because his name was so cool was Duncan McDougall.
The great name.
Duncan McDougall in the early 1900s was like, what if this, like, so energy has to exist. You can't destroy energy, right? It has to exist in some form. Like that could be mass. So they're like, so if this, we can prove if the soul exists, it has to have some kind of mass. And so what he did is a lot of patients, as they lay dying, and this is early 1900 science, as they lay dying, he kept them, they died on a scale, and as they died, he had 6 patients, and they all died. All of them lost 21 grams.
So he determined that's the weight or the mass of a soul.
Yeah, but that was debunked, and a lot of people, he only had 6 patients.
It was really because they pooped themselves.
Yes, so that's one theory.
I don't know if that's true or
they
not.
voided their bowels. It's like the soul. It's 21 grams and smells like shit.
That's fascinating. Write that down. Write that down.
Stinky soul.
Oh boy. All right. We're
Everyone's
mature.
soul stinks.
We're so mature.
So that one was debunked. I just wanted to bring that one up because one, cool name, 2, interesting science, interesting way to go about that. A leading theory about this is that the soul does not have a mass, but the soul exists as energy in the Akashic plane, the other plane, the spiritual plane. And that relates. And so every object in our plane of existence has a soul counterpart. And what is that? Quantum entanglement.
Oh.
One object can always another object.
We did time crystals. Same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's an object like me, or like say this thing. This has a soul that exists on the other plane. And they're like, okay, well, does the soul have mass? No. Yes, it has the mass here. It has the energy here. So they are the same thing, just one has a mass and then one has the energy for the mass.
Interesting.
And it's not the same as antimatter or dark matter. That is the absence of energy or the absence of mass. It exists on a completely different plane that exists with us that we just can't comprehend yet.
That, from a quantum mechanics standpoint, makes actually a heck of a lot of sense.
Yeah, I was surprised at how, so everything has like a counterpart to it somewhere, like that we are just now figuring out how to kind of detect or kind of figure out. Like a lot of quantum computing does exist now. It's just
right, and some things can be observed, like a superposition, right?
Yeah.
Superposition is observed, and that is really no different than what we talked about in that one thing can be two things, right? Light can be a photon and a wave simultaneously.
Right.
Schrodinger's cat can be alive and dead simultaneously, right? And the observation of the thing is what solidifies what that thing is. And so,
observing it changes its outcome.
With the fact that we live in a I don't know the word, but we have 3 spatial dimensions and one time
3D
dimension,
space.
right? We are observing the mass, right, in the 3rd dimension.
Yeah,
whereas
linear
in
time, the mass of
if there
time.
were a 4th dimension aside from time, right, a 4th spatial dimension, then we could be observing the energy, right?
Right.
And those things wouldn't conflict.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So, and I bring that up because a lot of people are saying maybe there's a picture of this cube on the moon, which China labeled it Mystery Hut, which I think it probably translates differently in Chinese. But
yeah, probably.
Is that
Mystery Hut sounds like a fun place to go.
Come on down to the Mystery
Come
Hut
on down to Mystery Hut
and try our mystery cocktail.
What do? You got to come down to find out.
What's in the mystery cocktail? That's the mystery.
Will you ever leave? That's the secret.
Burger King foot lettuce.
What?
You don't know Chills?
No.
You don't know the meme?
No, I don't.
Number 15.
I do not know these memes.
Man.
I told you I'm out of touch. It is a character, but it's also
It's
a meme.
just it's a meme like back early 2010s. Like it was this guy on YouTube named Chills. He just did lists of creepy things on YouTube, like number 1. This guy.
Oh, you talked about him before. No,
Yeah.
I didn't watch.
But like
Chills.
his the way he talks is such like a meme in itself.
Yeah.
That even now he like is in on it. Like he still does videos and like he plays it up or like. And a famous one was like, oh, like what do fast food workers do with your food? And like there's a famous picture of a Burger King worker standing in a tub of lettuce that they then
I have
used.
seen that picture, yeah.
So he goes, number 15, Burger King foot lettuce. Like it's just the way he says it. It's so funny.
I see the appeal. I don't know. I was doing other stuff back then.
Yeah, I was on the internet.
I mean, I don't
I'm
know.
full millennial.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing.
I'm
but-
full like. Y'all remember these?
Anybody?
You can't handle me at full millennial.
You can't. You don't even know.
I'm cringe as fuck. Everyone's already left.
We're dialing it back a lot for you guys. You don't even know.
Actually, Irma Gerd.
Oh, don't even start. We're going back to the. If we pull out a cheeseburger meme right now, it's over for us. It is over for this
podcast.
podcast.
You cannot cheeseburger. You can has my foot up your ass.
In fairness, those were the first memes, so
True.
you're welcome. We invented that for you. It wasn't good, but the
wasn't
first one
good.
is never good.
Yeah, memes turned into shit posts.
It's like the first pancake. The first pancake's never good, but you got to start, right? So you're welcome.
My cake didn't rise.
Well,
It's like, what is it? It's a pancake.
yeah. No,
Right.
I don't mean the first ever pancake. Like you cook pancakes, right? And you're
Right.
like, you gotta get the pan
Oh,
just
you
right.
just mean like the first,
Like the first one you try to cook, right?
Yeah, you get the
It's always burnt.
You
It
get the
always
tiny
gets screwed
one.
up. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like I had to sacrifice the first pancake to get all these beautiful other pancakes. You know,
Exactly.
That's what we had to do. We had to sacrifice with cheeseburger memes and rage faces.
Oh, not the rage faces.
And then you guys got top tier memes. out of it.
Honestly,
You're welcome.
Gen Z, y'all make the freshest memes. Gotta say, I love
It's
memes
true.
nowadays. Like, so good, so funny. Like, I'm not exaggerating. They're good. They're great. I mean, so what else? Oh, there was one more point that I forgot to write, but I wanted to make sure I brought it up. So we talked about, so basically, there is more surmounting evidence that maybe this is a thing. Maybe not the whole reptilians are catching our souls thing.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that interests me the most about this, and this species in particular, is that there are so many ways the reptilians go. There's some that are like, oh, they they live in the earth. They are on Mars. They literally control the entire galaxy, and we just don't know it. I like this one because it relates to the Anunnaki, and then the Anunnaki are aware of them and knew they existed, and that they capitalized on the Anunnaki's creation specifically because of our Anunnaki DNA. And what's interesting, I remember the point now, is that recently, I think in 2022, scientists have discovered a thing called ghost DNA. So a lot of in DNA, you're able to see like blueprints of like past like ancestral traits that are passed down, and they've found like Neanderthal DNA. Like when we commingled with Neanderthal, they found the other species. They're not Neanderthal. They're like one step up. It starts with a P. Like I can't remember.
I don't know.
It's like they kind of found like that missing link kind of person. Like there was another species of humans, kind of. So there's Neanderthals, this other species, and then like the Anunnaki versions of us. And so they commingled with all of those people, and they found at least that other type of one, which was basically just a different era of human. Like there's Neanderthal way back in the day that commingled with, and then there was a time when then modern man was coming up, and the Neanderthal was still there. So there's kind of like an in-between version of man, and they found evidence of that there was a different type of human that we used to commingle with. And then they found a third, and they have no idea what it's linked to because it's not human.
But it could be reptilian?
They think it's the Anunnaki DNA.
Oh. Well, I took that the wrong way, but it could be. I don't know.
And nowadays, there's a lot more probably reptilian DNA because they commingle with us.
Right.
Like
true.
Like I didn't know. Like I was scrolling through Tinder. I hooked up with this girl, and she had a tail, and her eyes blinked sideways.
Yeah. And she also had just like a lot of money, so I stuck it out. I took one for the team here, boys.
She controlled Viacom.
Yeah, exactly.
She controlled Comcast.
It was the daughter of the NVIDIA CEO. So
yeah,
had to do it, man.
Yeah, her name was Jessica NVIDIA.
Yeah, that's because it's a family name, right? That's I think
Rebecca Comcast.
It was the niece of Mark Facebook. That guy.
Oh my! I learned. Do you know like how Lexus is Toyota's like luxury brand?
Yeah.
Do you know how they came up with that name?
No.
They go, oh, we want to start a luxury brand for our company, and they go, but we want to export them specifically to the U.S. or like export these.
No.
Luxury exports, Lexus.
And also luxury export U.S.
Exactly. That's the whole point of the name. Luxury exports to the U.S.
That's dumb.
That's so lame.
That's dumb.
Like I learned a lot of other ones. They come up with them just because they're just convenient names.
A lot of them are, you know. I mean, are we gonna pretend that United Postal Service is like the most clever name in the world? UPS, like,
or USPS.
Well, that's
United
the
States
government.
Postal
That's
Service.
United States Postal Service. Yeah.
Yeah, they all suck. Sorry.
Yeah.
I worked for UPS for a season, so I can say that.
FedEx, Federal Express. They've been all right. I haven't had a negative experience recently, anyway.
Did you know, if you work at UPS, that brown is a trademark brown.
Is it really?
Also, if you leave that job and do not return the uniform, you get charged with a felony.
I believe that.
Because you can impersonate a UPS employee and get into any like establishment.
Well, because people like serial killers have done that crap.
Yeah, it's a felony.
Like, yeah.
And after I was contract worked for like Christmas season, like long time ago, and once that was over, like they're like, you have to return your uniform by this date, or you go to jail.
They had police officers standing there on your last day, just making sure you return the uniform.
Well, like you had like a month to return the uniform. Like,
okay.
Which I mean,
well, you can get a lot of crimes
in a month.
Commit a whole lot of crimes in that month.
Like, all right, I got a month.
Tell you what, we're gonna party.
I got a month not to get arrested.
Yeah.
For the uniform, but
right.
The other crimes.
But I'll never get found out.
Murder.
Never get found out because I'm just a UPS guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's their problem.
I'm just here doing deliveries.
I don't even work for UPS, bro. That can't be me.
Yeah.
Obviously, do I look like I work for UPS? Sir, the uniform is. You're still wearing it. Oh crap! And then they arrest you.
Fun fact: mine didn't fit. I couldn't button the pants.
Oh no!
But they wouldn't give me another size. And
what did you do?
Just belt.
I was like, you just left your pants unbuttoned the whole time?
But I just had to do a belt on top of it, and I just draped my shirt over it. And luckily, it was cold that season, so I had a big jacket that so nobody could tell. Well, that was a weird time in my life, but that's what I wanted to cover for the Reptilians. There's a lot more rabbit holes I could go down for like the crimes they committed or the villain, because like they are the ones who are most addicted to like negative shit. So like they find the species that can exhibit emotions, basically turn them into prison planets, and put moons on those planets to harvest those souls and recycle them. Like there are like, and then there's like other theories, like maybe like we are like being held captive by the reptilians until we can prove that we are better than that, because they may be influencing a lot of they're not like mind warping us into like doing bad stuff. They're just like influencing like the media, the government to like start wars and do shit because they want all that negativity. They want people to remain paranoid and violent and all that crap.
You look around, I think it's working.
I mean, yeah. And so like when other alien species come here, they're like, oh, these humans still suck. So we're not going to like we're not going to kick out the reptilians because they still suck.
Yeah.
And we don't want these humans going out into the world and being like, spreading their suckiness.
So how much did the reptilians panic when we built a ship and flew to the moon? How freaked out were they?
Well, it relates to that we've never been to the moon.
I see.
Or it's just that it's just very. It's the fact that we know that they're on the moon and we just hide it.
Or I was gonna say, this is my other side of that theory. The people that went to the moon and built it, say NASA, cosmonauts, and the Soviets, the Chinese.
Such a cool name.
It is, isn't it? Say all those people were actually reptilians themselves, and they orchestrated the whole thing so that only they would go, and they wouldn't report back anything.
Exactly.
We didn't see nothing, boss. Weren't nothing there.
I mean, there's a lot of other things that can go. There's a lot of other topics we can cover about how there are other structures found on the moon, about how weird the craters are on the moon, because last point, I guess, is that whenever crater hits our moon, they don't go past like 6 miles. Like if a giant asteroid were to hit, any celestial body, it's going to make a crater as deep as like relative to the mass of the object that hit it.
Right.
However, regardless of the mass, it does not penetrate past 6 miles deeper into the Earth.
So there's like a vibranium core or something. I mean, vibranium is obviously a made-up thing. Unobtainium, yeah.
It's very hard to obtain.
Yeah, it's really difficult. It's hard stuff to get. Unobtainium.
Another stupid name.
Yep.
Hard to getium.
Yeah. Out of stockium.
Almost out of it, oil, that is.
Better move quick, because it'll be gone soon,
Act fast now, 99% off,
Yeah. Buy one, get one 50% off,
What are we talking about?
I don't know. We're gonna wrap this up. This is a long one, but that's
it.
Alien Origins Part 2. Reptilians.
And that they are eating your stress. So stress away and feed your daddy.
Your local reptilians are starving. Those of you guys that have too much money, you gotta stress a little more.
Zuckerberg is zucking for some more.
He's zucking everywhere.
Why do you? Oh, I was going to say, there's a lot of footage of the people, like Obama and all the famous people. Like,
but those are fake.
Well, they say the reason that happens is because the TV you watch, or the screen you watch it from, or the video that it was captured from, kind of like penetrated that frequency a little bit. So you can see through the veil.
Interesting.
They're all around.
Everywhere.
Illuminati. Oh, yeah, I found out I have connections to the Masonic Lodge, or the Freemasons.
Let's save that for a cold open for another episode.
That's a teaser.
All right. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Comment below. Bye.